Welcome to Pigeon Racing World with Winners1. In Brisbane we have co-host David Christensen. G'day David.
Hi Righto viewers. On tonight's show, Dr. Colin Walker will be on starting up. And yourself and Tony McPherson head to Emerald.
Yes, Tony and I was invited by the Emerald RSL to release pigeons on their special Memorial Day. This day was dedicated to those who have lost their life in the war and also the animals that served next to them. The Emerald Football and Netball Club, their football team played against the football team from the General Cockatoo Football and Netball Club. So it was a big day with the Anzacs being remembered and then the match following.
We kick off tonight's show with the Emerald Football Ground.
They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
Good afternoon everyone. I'd like you to welcome the 5th, 6th Battalion Pipe Band of the Royal Victorian Regiment. Good afternoon everyone. My name's Matt Cox. I'm from the Emerald RSL, and on behalf of Pete Maloney from the Emerald RSL, Carol Thompson from the Cockatoo RSL and Eric Algra from the Gembrook RSL, I'd like to welcome you to the traditional Gembrook Emerald Anzac Day match. These teams have had a rivalry probably dating back to near World War I, when it was very sparse out here, but football has always been a means of entertainment and a means to stay fit and just make friends. Today there will be an Anzac Day medal presented to the most courageous player. It's not necessarily the best on ground, it's who the presidents from the RSL, with consultation from the Emerald President Mark Petter and the General President Ross Hubbard, will decide on and will be presented at the end of the match on the field. So without any further ado, we will go into the oath. I'd like to present Corporal Kane Falconer from the 5-6 Royal Victorian Regiment, that'll do, and the Emerald RSL Vice President. So if everyone can stand who's standing, and we will recite the oath.
They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're a little bit ahead of time, so I'll just explain what the order of today is. We've had the privilege of getting a flyover from 3 planes. Also involved in that, you might notice a fairly large piece of hardware over in the goal square, also donated by the same group, and we'll have the privilege of seeing that shot off as well. And at the end of all proceedings, we're kindly going to let 100 pigeons fly free, and that's they were donated by the Pigeon fraternity to represent their contributions to the First World War, and or all wars I should say, and going with our theme for the dawn service of Animals at War as well. If you'd like to release the pigeons. opposite end of the ground, you'll see the pigeons being released. There you go.
As you can gather, guys, a lot of noise down here. Enjoy yourself.
Okay, we're at the Emerald Football Ground with Mark and Peter and Tony. Tony coordinated today's proceedings for the RSL Remembrance Day, which is going to be on tomorrow. Now, Mark, the football club's heavily involved with the RSL. Tell us about what the involvement is.
Oh, look, back in 2019, we approached the RSL to do an Anzac Day clash for 2020, and the RSL were kind enough to sponsor us for the jumpers you see, out on the field. Unfortunately, 2020 we didn't get a season because of COVID. So lucky,
how many days?
568 days until the last
days.
game here. So lucky enough today, the traditional Emerald Gembrook clash, the Anzac jumpers, and like the Emerald RSL have just been fantastic support for us. Pete, especially in his committee, have been great. So it's just really nice to see so many people here from the community, both Gembrook, Cockatoo and Emerald. So no, it's fantastic.
It has been a great start to the proceedings. Tell us about what it's all about, Pete.
Well, this is a tradition. I mean, the Gembrook and Emerald game has been a tradition, as I said before, over 100 years. So it seemed consistent with that tradition that we have an Anzac weekend. So because of the COVID issues, we weren't able to have the normal marches, and so we're having a dawn service in the morning. So we have organised with Mark to have the game today with all what we did, and now tomorrow morning we do the dawn service and we have the traditional things at that end. So it's been trying to get the community back involved after COVID, and that's what's happening now.
They certainly have been involved. It's the ground's packed. And Tony, now you've been coordinating, done a lot of work here. A lot of work. I know you don't want to say anything, but you're going to. Now, tell us what you've put together for the day.
Judy Pay is the owner of the old aeroplane company down at Tyre, and she's generously supported the RSL in Emerald for years. So when she heard that we were doing this, I spoke to her, and she jumped on board immediately. But then she said, basically, if you're going to have the planes, why don't you think about the cannon? So I thought, this is not a good idea, this cannon. It makes a lot of noise and it takes a lot of work. But anyway, they came as a team. I wasn't able to separate them. And it turns out now that it was a great combination for the crowd.
Certainly was. It woke everyone up and cleared the cobwebs. There's no doubt about that. And they did it again. They fired it once, fired it twice, and we're definitely awake.
Well, it's been a great production, and particularly we've had the full band from downtown playing for us. So it's been a big team effort.
It has been a big team effort, that's for sure.
And don't forget that there's a lot of work goes into just putting this on today from the Emerald and Football Club and the Netball Club. I mean, it's a massive exercise to pull this together.
It certainly is a big exercise, and I was here a couple of years ago when you had the centenary with Puffing Billy.
Yeah.
Absolutely magnificent. And boy, oh boy, what a big day that was. I reckon you took 10 years to organise it.
Well, I think, Tony, one of the things is is consistent this year is our theme for Anzac Day has been animals and war.
Yep.
Yes.
So it's just we made a special video of it, which you'll be able to see tomorrow, but online. But the thing is that's why the pigeons were so important, because they were couriers during the Second World War, particularly when they saved a lot of lives. So that's consistent with our theme of animals at war.
Yes,
And
certainly.
thank you for your support, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the Pigeon Fraternity, and Rod over here behind the camera. Channel 31 and Rod. We definitely wanted to be involved, and why not? It's a fantastic thing to celebrate.
It is.
And remember those who've given their lives for us to have a good life.
Yeah.
And it's community.
It
is all about the community.
It is.
Yep.
It is. So I thank you both, all of you, very much for allowing us to be here, and we've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good. Thanks,
Thank
mate.
you.
Cheers.
You've been watching Pigeon Racing World with Winners1.
So the new fancier who's just decided to get into pigeons, I guess the important thing to have in the back of your mind all the time is that we are doing this for fun. So keep it simple and keep it fun, and make sure that you keep enjoying yourself. Pigeons are a fantastic choice as far as keeping a bird. They don't have the behavioural and environmental challenges that a lot of other birds do. And pigeons have been domesticated for a long period of time, and they're naturally a very robust bird, and provided you can meet the basic requirements of just care, it's not that hard to keep them healthy. It's always easier, I think, if you can find someone, an established fancier in your local area who's had pigeons for some time, and he'll be able to sort of guide you along. An experienced eye is very useful. People who are unfamiliar with pigeons, they often think they all look the same, and yet to an experienced pigeon fancier they're all very different, and signs that subtle signs that might go unnoticed to a less experienced eye can be very obvious to them. So I think a good starting point would be, if possible, to try and get in contact with your local club and perhaps someone who lives nearby who races pigeons and can be your mentor. If that's not possible, perhaps introduce yourself to a local fancier and try and get some birds from someone who's very familiar with the sport, recognised fancier, and birds that are essentially healthy. Good choices can be birds that have perhaps flown a race season, not the winners themselves, but are brothers and sisters to the winners and have perhaps completed one of the distance races. Once you've got them there and built a loft, that's another whole issue, and feeding them, that's another whole issue as well. What to do as far as medication, it's really just a matter of initially making sure that they're parasite free. Lice and mites are important. There's a range of permethrin based dips that you can buy. Often you just buy a bottle of permethrin concentrate, dilute it down 10 mils per litre and make it in a warm bath, dilute that and dip the birds in that in the morning of a warm day. That works very well. There are various additives that can go into the bath water, things like ivermectin, moxidectin, at a tenth the oral dose can go in the bath water. They're not toxic if ingested. Don't bath the birds for 10 days or so, so be keen to have a bath. Prepare a warm bath in the morning, put those drugs in there. The pigeons will in effect dip themselves, so that takes care of your lice and mites. Lice that affect pigeons, their whole life cycles on the pigeons, so if you treat the pigeons, the lice are totally taken care of. Some of the species of mites that infect pigeons do live in the loft environment as well, and so if we're really aiming for eradication, it's good to treat the loft too. And the way that's done is just to clean the loft as you normally would do, scrape it all out, sweep it out so that it's clean. You can use the same insecticide permethrin, just dilute it down again, 10 mils per litre, and just spray that onto all of the scraped and vertical surfaces and into the nooks and crannies. And again, if you do that in the morning of a warm day, the loft will be dry in a few hours, and it's fine. So it should be possible in a closed loft like that to get complete control of lice and mites. The other two parasites are worms and coccidia. Coccidia is a single-cell protozoan that infects the bowel of pigeons. A whole range of drugs to use there. The most common one is a drug called toltrazuril. It's sold under a number of different brand names in Australia, Baycox, Toltravet. They just dilute it down 3 mils per litre, treat the birds for 2 days in the water, wait 5 days and give them another 2 days. And if each of those treatments is followed by a particularly thorough loft clean, that should bring that under control. Worms, there's a whole range of wormers. Common one is moxidectin. We use the preparation 2 milligrams per mil. It's put in the drink of 5 mils per litre for 24 hours. We repeat that 3 weeks later, and again followed with a particularly thorough loft clean. You should be able to bring that under control. So once the birds are parasite free, if you've got a well-designed loft and they're fed in a nutritious way, and no overcrowding, adequate level of hygiene, they should stay pretty well. The challenge for pigeon fanciers is maintaining health comes with start racing. If you had a parrot aviary, once you've got the birds in there completely healthy, the last thing you'd want to do is go and buy a parrot from an unknown source and without any treatments or health checks go and put that in your aviary with your other healthy birds. But through the very nature of pigeon racing, what tends to happen is that your birds are mixed intimately with birds from many other lofts in race baskets, which is an ideal medium to spread disease. And so that's why health maintenance in pigeon lofts can be a little bit challenging, and it's not stable, it's dynamic. And so your birds, even though they may start completely healthy, through their ongoing exposure, where a proportion of the birds are leaving the loft each week, mixing with birds from lots of other different lofts and then returning to your loft, means that the potential for exposure is fairly high. And so 2 ways of managing that. The ideal way would be to regularly take 2 or 3 of the birds, representative birds from the team that are racing, along to an avian vet and just get him to clinically look at them, do a couple of routine tests, see if there's any health issues that have crept in, and if they are identified, they're just treated. Failing that, and what happens, a lot of pigeon fanciers do, is they adopt health programs aimed to eliminate any introduced disease from returning race birds from the loft and prevent them from becoming established. And so what some fanciers will do is say, just worm their birds, every month, put the moxidectin that we mentioned earlier just in the water for 1 day per week, or they might treat their birds for coccidia using the Baycox or Toltravet for say 2 days every month, something like that. There are other diseases that with experience a fancier would become familiar with, like respiratory infection and wet canker. But I think rather than someone who's new in the sport just blanket treating for those, overuse of those medications can lead to their own set of problems. So I think it's probably best to either just use those sort of medications either under veterinary advice, or because you're racing you will have come into contact with older fanciers under the guidance of more experienced fanciers. The other thing to mention, of course, is there are a number of very common diseases that are effectively controlled through vaccination. These are PMV, paramyxovirus, rotavirus, salmonella, and also pigeon pox. Probably a bit too much to go through in detail what's involved in vaccination, but essentially babies have 2 shots about 2 to 4 weeks apart, with the first 3 PMV, rota and salmonella in the first year of life, and then annual boosters. In the first year of life they just have a single pox inoculation that confers lifetime immunity. But there are restrictions on what ages the pigeon should be given those. So best to speak to your local veterinarian or an experienced fancier near you.
We'll be back after this short break.
Yeah, g'day guys, Richard Clement from the NCF Federation in Newcastle, flying partnership with my father Malcolm up here, and just wanted to comment today on a product that we've been using over the last couple of seasons called Protein Plus, which we sourced from Winners1 in Victoria. Protein Plus is a product that we started using in our stock loft as a trial product a couple of years ago. We were interested in how we could ensure that when our youngsters had those last few days in the nest before they went into the race loft, and as they went into the race loft didn't lose any body and condition, and we found that the product was particularly helpful with that, and we were very happy with our first trials. We used it then a little bit more in the stock loft and found that over time our pigeons, particularly as they went into the 3rd and 4th round of breeding, weren't losing body and were still in really good condition at the end of the breeding season, so that was really a positive for us in the first year. Last year we used it in the race loft for the first time. We found it to be a really good product to help put condition back onto the birds and to help the birds build back up a little bit quicker than what they probably previously would have, without having to change their feed base too much, particularly early in the week. We've had a pretty successful couple of years up here, winning multiple club and combine and federation averages, and last year particularly was a record-breaking year for us, and we put some of that success down to the fact that we've been able to use this product consistently now, and we'd have no hesitation in recommending it for other flyers who want to try and aid that recovery period, particularly after a hard race or a hard toss.
Welcome back to Pigeon Racing World with Winners1. David, we had a big day at the Pipa grading.
We did. It took some time for the boys to grade all the pigeons and then to fill them all for the program.
I'd like to also mention the great work that Vince Padavoli has done to look after birds since they've been in Australia. Also to put up with us on the day. We sort of took over the place.
Vince Padavoli has been a major contributor to the pepper auction.
He has. Due to time restraints of the show, we are only featuring 20 of the 40 pigeons that will be in the Sydney auction. After the show goes to Facebook and YouTube, there'll be a separate video of the grading. To look at it, all you need to do is go to YouTube, Google Pipa Sydney Auction by Pigeon Racing World Winners1, and the 40 birds will be there. Let's have a look at these great pigeons.
Dave Wettering from Melbourne. I've raced pigeons all my life. I raced with my dad, so 2nd generation. I was invited up here to grade these pigeons, and there's some exceptional birds in this lot.
Yep, Steve Zammit, originally from Sydney, but now I've moved to the Central Coast in New South Wales. I'm actually a 3rd generation flyer. Lots of my family members have raced pigeons and been involved in them. I've been in them all my life. I haven't raced for a little while. I'm getting back into racing this year.
My name's Stephen Eggleton from Central Cumberland Racing Pigeon Federation in Sydney. I'm 2nd generation pigeon flyer, and my father and my uncle both sadly passed recently, but they raced for many, many years. So I was lucky enough to race pigeons in Europe for a little while, and been back in Australia for 17 years or thereabouts. And it's an absolute pleasure to handle these pigeons, and having had some of these flyers at my loft as well. So it's a great day to be here with my friends and colleagues.
Okay, so this is a blue checker pied cock of Yelly Rosiers. It's Belgium 19 60266382. It's a lovely, well balanced pigeon, beautiful muscle, lovely temperament, a very nice middle distance pigeon. Swing, lovely middle distance swing.
We've got a blue checker cock, Belgium 19 60266385. It's a Yellow Rosiers pigeon. It's a spectacular Houben, I presume a Houben based pigeon. Fantastic wing, great back wing. It's got an eye that reminds me of Houbens, fabulous Houbens. A very nice pigeon. Nice, well drawn out, fabulous wing.
This is Belgian 19 6026387, a blue checker cock, beautifully balanced pigeon. I think it'd fly all day. Supple, everything you're looking for a stock cock. Beautiful pigeon. This is Belgian 19 6026386, one of Yelly Rosiers, blue checker cock, real little powerhouse this pigeon. As you can see by the wing, it'll fly anything. Supple, balanced, anyone would be proud to have that in their loft.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a blue bar cock with bark Eric. It's Belgium 19 601586. It's a lovely balanced bird. You can see very quiet, it just sits in my hand and doesn't move. Very good natured pigeon. Good solid wing, very, very nice bird.
It's a Bart Gerdick pigeon, Belgian 19 6250202. A beautiful blue bar cock, very strong, lovely wing, fly all day this pigeon. Supple, rounded, very, very nice.
This is a blue bar cock. It's Bart Gerdick pigeon, Belgium 19 6250201. Perfectly balanced mid-sized pigeon. Very nice conformation, fabulous balance and lots of vitality. So a very nice bird. You could pair this to anything. Very nice.
A blue bar flighty cock of bird Garrick. It's Belgium 19 6250207. This is a beautiful pigeon, perfect balance. It's not a big pigeon, but it's absolutely beautifully put together, great vitality. The wing is fabulous, a really nice pigeon.
We'll be back with more of the Pipa grading after this short break.
The Australian Racing Pigeon Journal has been an interesting educational read since 1993 and still a significant way to keep abreast of the sport of pigeon racing. In each exciting monthly magazine, editor Jeff Howe brings together Australian and international articles. Join pigeon fanciers throughout the world who subscribe and enjoy the Australian Racing Pigeon Journal. Loft visits, training tips, pigeon strains, as well as health advice from world-renowned avian veterinarians are regular topics featured in this great read. There is nothing better than keeping a quality magazine on the shelf to read anytime.
Elite Centre, Belgian 19 418 4878. A blue bar, it's a pied hen, very, very sturdy pigeon, very strong, good wing, very good wing, the strength in the wing, vitality. A very, very nice pigeon.
Blue-bar pied hen, PC pigeon, Belgium 19 418 4894. A lovely hen, nice body, nice balance, very nice temperament, nicely muscled pigeon. Pretty girl really, and a good wing, great back wing, very nice pigeon.
Okay, we've got a blue checker pied hen, bred by the Pipa Elite Centre. It's Belgium 19 4184930. Just a beautiful little hen. Lovely wing, really well put together, good balance, very fine boned pigeon. This pigeon would do really well in the Australian conditions.
Pipa Elite Centre pigeon, Belgian 19 418 4937. Blue bar hen, again, another very, very strong pigeon that's come out of peck. Beautifully balanced, vitality's good, the pigeon's very, very nice. To the sale that's coming up, Belgian 19, 420 7126. A blue checker pied hen, very, very nice pigeon yet again, strong, as good as you'll ever want to get a European pigeon in Australia.
We've got a blue bar hen of Tom Van Gavre, Belgium 19 42077178. Typical of all of his pigeons, they're all very consistent. You can see they're all down out of the same family. Lovely, quiet, balanced pigeons, beautiful conformation, lovely muscle, very nice pigeons. Very nice wing as well. Yep, they're a credit to him.
Tom Van Gavre pigeon, over for the Australian sale, Belgian 19, 420 7319. A very powerful blue bar hen, as you can see with the wing, exceptional pigeon, exceptional. I think these will go well in Australia. Supple muscles, balanced, it is put together very, very well.
It's a blue checker hen, Tom Van Gavre pigeon, Belgium 19 420 7327. This is an exceptional pigeon. Long cast checker hen, beautiful type, fabulous wing. Will produce superb pigeons at 600 k's for the Australian climate, and tough all-day fly pigeons, I would have thought. Exceptional bird. It's a checker pied hen, Tom Van Gavre pigeon, Belgium 19 420 7324. An absolute peach, a beautiful checker pied hen, pretty hen, powerhouse in the hand, perfect conformation, tingle in the spine when you handle this pigeon, so I'd strongly recommend this bird to anybody. Very nice bird.
I want to tell you a little story about my best pigeon, Gladiator, the Olympic pigeon and national ace bird for my loft. Yeah, that weekend he won the second prize, so he became Olympic pigeon and national ace bird. 2000 I bought a pigeon voicer in the club here from Jules Sampermans, and this was the papa of Tiesto that I bought there. Also we raised this pigeon that we bought as voicer, and he won 2 times the first prize on Bourse. Then we bring him to the breeding loft and he bred us famous pigeon Tiesto.
In 2017 I made my restart in the pigeon sport, and I decided to build my strain around one specific pigeon, Finn, and also of course his parents. So my second base pigeon in the loft is Ricky. Ricky is related as well to Finn because the mother and himself are cousins. Ricky was my first national ace pigeon since I raced with the pigeons in 2014, and he was also very successful the years afterwards, so he was 3 years in a row in the top 6 in the Pipa ranking on the long distance races.
I started with my own birds in a small loft in 1995. It was a loft by 2x2 only. I lived with my mother. It was for me also easy to get into the sport in a short period. Good pigeons also, because we were related to several guys who flew on a high level. The most famous name was of course the Huben family. 2004, Queen L, our basic hen, she won first national on La Souterraine. Was about 600 kilometers. She was fastest against 19,000 pigeons, old birds and young birds together.
Ik ben Nicolas Gijzelbrecht en ben gestart met Pipa in 2000 als nieuwswebsite. En in 2008 ben ik dan begonnen in het klein met Pipa Elite Center. Dat was met een koppeltje duiven en dat één koppeltje zijn dan meerdere koppels geworden. En in de loop van de jaren zijn we zo wel geëvolueerd. Beslist hebben met ons 3 dat een duif maar verkocht mag worden als wij vinden dat die goed genoeg is voor onszelf, voor de eigen kweek.
This is a Davy Tornell. He sent to Australia, Belgian 19, 213830. A blue bar cock, a wiry sort of pigeon that will fly all day. Good wing. Yeah. Very nice.
Yep, we have a red checker hen of Davy Tornell's. It's Belgium 19 2138396. This is a magnificent pigeon. Perfectly balanced, lovely size, beautiful wing, lovely muscle. This would be a 500 miler in Australia. Beautiful, beautiful pigeon. Very nice.
It's a blue bar hen, a Davy Tornell pigeon. Belgium 19 2138362. Very lovely put together blue pearl-eyed hen. She's got a lovely wing on her, very aerated wing. She'll go a little bit further, this hen. I like her. Again, she's nicely put together, good temperament, and a lot of options in the breeding loft with this hen. You could find a perfect mate for this hen. Very nice pigeon.
Davey Tornell is sent to Australia for the auction. Belgian 19, 2138321. A lovely and quiet blue checker hen, reasonably plump, but balanced and light bone. Very, very nice pigeon. Very nice pigeon. Interesting to see how it goes.
We just finished the grading of the Pipa auction birds.
Vince, you've had the birds here for a while. How have they handled the Australian conditions?
Look, they've adapted really well. As soon as we got them, they were in a bit of a molt. They went through a very heavy body molt around about November, and most of them molted all their flights out at that time. You would have thought they would have gone through possibly another molt again now as the weather started to turn cold, but they haven't. And all that's happened is they've actually had a bit of a neck molt, and the birds are in excellent condition.
And you're telling us earlier you've had them on a depurative for a number of weeks?
Yep, that's all they've been on, depurative and fresh water, and you saw the condition they're in. They're all nicely blown out, silky smooth feathering. I think that's just a function of the quality of these birds. Natural, robust immunity and health.
Now, Tim Fairfax. Tim, you've been helping John, and I'll ask John next question. You've been getting the birds together, bringing them in, handling each bird. What's your thoughts of the birds, Tim?
Yeah, very nice overall. Some really cracking pigeons, all pretty well, beautifully balanced, very good in the feather. Yeah, very nice overall. A lot of cracking hens. I know I've got my eye on a couple I've seen there, and found a couple of very nice ones. So yeah, looking forward to it, and I think it's a terrific opportunity for people to get pigeons in. It's a slightly different way to how we've normally had to do it, and it's a great opportunity the way this is being done and run, and get in there whilst you can.
Johnny Debracat, you've also been, this is not the first time you handle these birds, I'm sure. You've been involved for a while. You want to explain about your involvement?
Yeah, well, when they first arrived to Australia, I went with Miller to pick them up, and Tim from the airport. We brought them back and vaccinated them, put them in the loft, and it's about 6 months later they've gone through the body molt and developed, and they're looking really well. So they're real healthy, and just basically on water and the purity of feed, and they've come up really well.
Milad, you've been intimately involved in being involved in having these birds come out to Australia. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, since I've come here, they've improved every month. I've come here, I've checked up on the weekends to have a look at them, and I think they're getting better. They've gone through a nice body molt. Yeah, as what the other boys said about them, yeah, they are very nice. It's a really good opportunity for people to, to purchase some of these birds. But besides that, yeah, they're very nice, robust pigeons. Well balanced, everything about them. So yeah, I can't fault nothing about them.
And the auction location, you tell the viewers a little bit about.
Yeah, it's at the Greyhound Club on July the 11th. We're going to have 7 days prior to that. It's going to run online on the Pipa auction website, and the finishing date would be the day before on the Saturday, and the public auction will run at 2 p.m. on the Sunday. We're going to have viewing from 9 a.m. and around 12 a.m. you'll be able to handle the pigeons. So we're looking for a 2 p.m. live auction at the Greyhound Club.
Steve, is that it?
G'day, David.
What are your thoughts about the birds overall that you handled today?
Yeah, well, I think firstly a lot of credit needs to go to Vince for the way they were looked after. The birds handled beautifully in lovely conditions. He's kept them in a nice open loft, so they were very nice. Yeah, the breeders should be proud of themselves with what they've sent. You can see that they've tried to send good birds. There's a lot of lovely birds, a lot of consistency. I think there'll be something there for everyone. predominantly more middle distance pigeons, but lovely birds. And what I really liked is I did a lot of research looking at the breeders and their base pigeons and their best pigeons, and what we've seen there. I haven't seen a pedigree, so I don't know what's off what, but you can see they're obviously down out of those key birds. So I think they've sent their best, yep.
And what do you particularly look for when you're handling or grading the birds? What did you look for today?
Well, there's lots of things, but the first impression to me is very important. So you want a pigeon that's well balanced with good conformation, a good temperament. I like vitality, certain types of muscle and wing that I like to see on a bird. But overall, the standard was very high. Yeah.
And some red feathers.
There was one red pigeon, and I got stirred because I've got rather a soft spot for red pigeons, but the red pigeon I think is actually one of the best pigeons.
Dave Wettering from Melbourne, thanks for coming up.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. What was your thoughts overall of the birds?
Vince has done, just to follow on from Steve, Vince has done a great job. Unfortunately, the birds come over when COVID started, so they've been sitting there for 6 to 8 months. Vince has got them in fantastic condition. They are healthy, soft in the feather, very, very good. The birds in general, I think we've got some of the best bloodlines in the world, which was lucky Pipa got behind it, and Jelly and a few others to send some good pigeons here, because it is a gamble sending pigeons to Australia. A lot can go wrong. Well, here now the Australian flyers have got a chance to view the pigeon, handle the pigeon and buy the pigeon. They've taken all the risk out of it. The pigeons in general are a very, very good type of pigeon. I think a lot will click with the Australian lines, and we'll see winners in years to come out of this actual auction.
And you're a bit different to the rest of us. You actually had a chance to handle the birds as they came out of quarantine.
Yeah, that's a little bit to do with the quarantine, and in COVID, Chris, who runs it from South Australia, couldn't get back in. So I had to do the whole thing. Sonia, my wife, come over and we just did the whole thing. So we handled all the pigeons. It's funny, they're locked up for 2 months, but they're in very, very good condition. The bloke in England had done a good job, and Quarantine Australia had done a good job. But once they come to Vince's, he's taken them to another level.
Because you mentioned some of them actually feel a lot better from when you handled them originally. So you've taken a few notes.
But I think the bit of that, Vince has put them in aviaries, where I think sunshine's very good for pigeons. Here they can get the morning sun, and I think that's done them the world of good. But the pigeons in general were very, very good condition when they come out of quarantine. He's just put the icing on the cake. But some exceptional birds.
Thanks, Dave. And Steve Eggleton, your thoughts overall?
I think overall today was great fun, and it was a pleasure to be involved. I think it's great vision by Yella and Davey and Tom and the Peck boys to send pigeons out here. I mean, Australia, in Europe we don't get much of a rating as being pigeon flyers, but there's some of the best pigeon flyers in the world out here, and we've got some of the best pigeons in the world in Australia. And we're at Vince's place, and Vince has got probably some of the best gaby pigeons in the world. And but the pigeons that have come over today, that we looked at today, they are world class, and we're very lucky to have such a collection here, and that every flyer in Australia has the opportunity to pick up at least one to mix into their family. I had a bit of a soft spot for yellow pigeons because he's got a Houben base in many of them, and my speed pigeons are a Houben base, so they look familiar to me. But more recently I've been focusing more on middle and longer distance, and I saw something there. So there's sort of something for everybody. The quality was very high. The conformation of the pigeons, generally speaking, is exceptional. So it was an absolute pleasure to be involved, and I just want to thank Vince for his hospitality and for the guys to putting it all together. And also for Rod. I mean, you've done a blinding job today, so well done to you too. Thank you very much.
Well, on behalf of the guys at Belgium, everyone that's here today, and really a big thank you to Vince. We know you put a lot of work into this with the others, and if it wasn't for a few of you guys up here in Sydney, this would never have happened, and thank you. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show, and good night, David.
Good night, Rod, and good night to the viewers. And for those who've started racing already, good luck, good racing, good returns. Good night.
You've been watching Pigeon Racing World with Winners1. I'm Rod Simmons. Good night.